Hello, my name is Mike, and in this video you join me in a bouncy castle. Okay, it's not really a bouncy castle, it's the 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450, and it's the bouncing SUV, but more on that later. Actually, I'm going to stop it before I get sick. Anyway, how good is this new generation GLE 450? Well, let's go for a drive and find out. There's a few engine options available with the Mercedes GLE. There is a base 2-liter engine, as well as the big V8 in the AMG model. But what I have here is a 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged engine. It produces 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. And despite this GLE 450 weighing around just almost 2,300 kilograms, or about 5,000 pounds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour with this engine takes just 5.7 seconds, which is very impressive. However, it's not the only thing that's helping move this much mass. There is also a 48-volt mild hybrid EQ system. There's a starter generator sandwiched in between the engine and the transmission, and that has a few things to do. Obviously, it's a starter, so it turns on the engine, but it can also provide a momentary boost of power, so about 21 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. But that's only when you're putting your foot down on the accelerator pedal. You can't actually drive this SUV just on electricity alone. However, what else it can do is it can actually shut off and start the engine when you're arriving at a stop. It actually shuts off the engine a little bit before you actually come to a complete stop. And if you have it in eco mode, it can actually turn off the engine when you're just coasting. So as soon as you take your foot off the throttle pedal, it can actually shut down the engine if all the parameters are met. But the biggest benefit is, of course, fuel economy. And this big, almost 5,000 pound SUV is rated for 12.4 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. That is supremely impressive. For something that weighs this much, that low of fuel economy numbers is very impressive. Shifting gears is a 9-speed automatic transmission. It's not a dual clutch or anything like that, it's just a regular old-fashioned automatic, which means that the shifts are pretty smooth. It's not the fastest. If you decide to use the paddle shifters, even in Sport Plus mode, it'll be a while until it actually reacts to your inputs. However, just leave it in regular drive mode and it reacts perfectly fine to a stab of the throttle. And it knows exactly what gear to choose as well. So leave it in drive, you'll be perfectly happy with it. A firm brake pedal is what one would expect from a Mercedes-Benz, and the GLE 450 delivers just that. Stopping the big SUV doesn't take much effort on the right foot, and the GLE stays true and in control under emergency braking situations. However, the suspension does allow the nose to dive quite a bit when you're stomping on that brake pedal. When it comes to going around corners, the GLE can hold its own thanks to the E-Acive Body control system. This system scans the road ahead and automatically adjusts the spring rate, damping, and leveling at each wheel. Put the GLE 450 in curve drive mode and this system will lean the body into a corner much like a motorcycle would when cornering. It's an odd and uneasy feeling when a big SUV like this leans into a corner because your brain expects the car's body to lean in the opposite direction. But the system works because the GLE feels stable through twists and turns, and it gives you the confidence to push just a little bit harder on that throttle pedal. Another trick up the GLE 450 sleeve is the off-road mode. Coupled with the air suspension, the body can be raised for better ground clearance. But should you get stuck in soft sand or snow, the E-Acive Body control can start to bounce the GLE like a lowrider. This feature is very cool to show off to your friends, but its main purpose is to increase and decrease the ground pressure of the tires and improve traction to help you get out of a sticky off-road situation. Getting into the GLE 450 should be straightforward and simple, but the side steps make it a little bit challenging for someone of my height. They sit a bit too low for me to actually use, and they increase the distance between the edge of the seat and the edge of the step, making it feel like I'm jumping into the seat rather than casually laying in it. If it were up to me, I'd avoid this $750 option. And once you are inside the GLE, well, it doesn't really feel like a GLE. It feels more like a GLS, or the S-class of SUVs, because it is so comfortable in here. These seats are fantastic. They are, of course, heated, ventilated, and massaging. As well, the center armrest and the armrest on the doors are also heated. Plus, these seats, they can be adjusted to whatever your height is. Actually, you can even enter in your height in the infotainment system and the seat will adjust for you. Pretty cool. In the back, there is plenty of space for someone of my height at 6'4". And that's weird because the GLE is actually narrower and shorter than the BMW X5. So the fact that you have more rear legroom in this compared to the X5 is just astonishing. As well, you have more headroom compared to the X5 as well. And a little bit further behind the rear seats, you have 630 liters of cargo volume, which is actually a little bit less than the X5. However, fold those rear seats down and you get 2,055 liters of cargo, which is the most in class. However, be prepared to walk around because there is no release for those rear seats in the trunk area. But to make it easier to load stuff in and out is the air suspension, which can lower thanks to a little toggle switch in the back. This interior is also very quiet. I can barely hear the engine and I can barely hear what's going on outside. There's very little wind noise, very little road noise. In fact, the only thing that's really making a whole lot of noise is, well, me. As for the rest of the cabin, in terms of noise, vibration, and harshness, there really isn't any to mention. Everything feels really solid, everything feels well put together, there's no squeaks or rattles, even on the roughest roads that I've been driving on. It just feels fantastic in here. It's so quiet and calm. When it comes to gadgets, the Mercedes-Benz GLE is full of them. Obviously, the biggest gadget is the E-Acive Body control. However, if you want it fitted to your GLE 450, be prepared to pay $6,900 Canadian. Worse still, the price went up to $8,900 Canadian for the 2021 model year. It's really hard to justify that price tag for this feature. Other nifty gadgets on the GLE 450 include heated and cooled cup holders, which work really well. There's an available built-in dash cam, a cabin ionizer with air freshener, an available rear seat entertainment system, soft closed doors, a head-up display, and augmented reality navigation system. This 2020 GLE 450 starts at $72,800 Canadian. Unfortunately, the 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 is more expensive, with a starting price of $77,550 Canadian, an almost $5,000 difference. This press vehicle came equipped with a lot of features and packages, which drove up the price to almost $108,000 Canadian. So, at $108,000 Canadian, as this demo is equipped, is the 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 the ultimate in luxury? Oh, hell yes, like that's even a question. Like I said in the video, this feels a little bit more like an S-class of SUVs rather than an E-class of SUVs. And the BMW X5 just can't compete in terms of offering this much luxury for your money. And if you think $108,000 is expensive, then of course there is a lower spec trim of the GLE for less money. But look at it this way. The 63 version of this is a lot more expensive, and yet I see those quite often on the streets. So obviously people have money. If you want to know more about this 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450, I wrote a comprehensive and detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description down below. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck, or probably going to be an SUV again next time. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.